Super Mario Odyssey released in 2017, and despite all that time and with me speedrunning the game for a couple years, I've never actually taken the time to sit down and 100% the game. And so today, I want to change that. I'm going to be 100%ing everything there is to do in Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. In order to 100% Mario Odyssey, we need to collect all 880 unique Power Moons, and buy 119 Power Moons in the post-game in order to get 999 Power Moons in total. We also need to collect all 1000 regional coins, purchase all 55 outfit variations, capture all 52 enemies, collect all 82 songs for the music list, buy every souvenir in the game, unlock all 85 checkpoints including the ones that are missable, unlocking all 60 achievements from Toadette, beating the harder Bowser fight which is only available after collecting all unique Power Moons, collecting 9,999 coins, and reaching rank 50 in Luigi's Balloon World. When I started the game, I figured the best thing to do was to beat the game as fast as possible, since the vast majority of the moons you're able to collect are only available after hitting the moon rocks, which you could only unlock after beating the game. And so, I decided to do what was a pseudo any percent run, beating the game as fast as possible while getting a couple of extra moons and purple coins that were in my general vicinity. There's not really much that could be said about this first part of the run. I followed the basic any percent route that I had learned several years ago, and everything went pretty smoothly. One thing I did want to bring notice to was that even after several years of not playing, I was still able to get Seaside clip first try. Not that it's impressive or anything, but it's still something that I'm proud of considering it's been quite a while since I've picked up the game, and it was one of my favorite tricks to do in the speedrun. Also, can I quickly talk about the shot of Bowser riding the dragon in Ruin Kingdom? Like, this has no business being as hard as it is. The only other thing I wanted to really bring up was the mech fight. Since it had been several years since I've last speedran the game, I forgot how to do a lot of the faster strats including lock-on, so I ended up having to do it the slower way. But with the main game done, I can now move on to the next part of my plan, which was to go through kingdom by kingdom, break the moon rocks, and 100% each kingdom before moving on to the next one. Starting off with the first kingdom in the game, Cap Kingdom. Cap Kingdom took me just a little over half an hour to 100%, and by the next time we moved on to the next kingdom, which would be Cascade, I had 160 Power Moons to my name, as well as all of the collectibles and souvenirs from the Cap Kingdom shop. Moving on to Cascade Kingdom, there were a couple of moons that we were not able to get at this exact moment, as some of them require a lot of late game things, including one that requires touring around the entire world. But after a little over half an hour, I had 196 Power Moons to my name, and had bought every single collectible and souvenir from the shop, and was moving on to one of the biggest kingdoms in the game, Sand Kingdom. Sand Kingdom was the first kingdom in the game that I haven't actually gotten World Peace in yet, so before activating the Moon Rock and getting all of the post-game moons, I had to go into the Inverted Pyramid and unlock World Peace by beating the two bosses that lock it. And after a little less than an hour and a half, I had 273 moons to my name. Every souvenir in Sand Kingdom had been bought, and the only moon I was missing was the World Tourism one. It was time to move on to the next kingdom. Lake Kingdom was one that I had already achieved World Peace in during the any percent run, so all I had to do was hit the Moon Rock and collect everything else in the kingdom that I had missed, which ended up taking a little bit longer than I wanted. See, Lake Kingdom has quite a few moons that are locked behind different outfits that you have to buy, and there were a couple of outfits that I didn't know which ones I needed, or rather I didn't know how to get them. Some of them I would have to come back to a little bit later since they were in late game kingdoms such as Moon Kingdom. But after a little over 40 minutes, I had 307 moons and was ready to move on into Wooded Kingdom, which is in my opinion probably the most complicated kingdom in the game to 100%. Wooded Kingdom was yet another kingdom that I had not yet achieved World Peace on, so the first thing I did was make a beeline to the secret flower field and unlock World Peace, so that way I could hit the Moon Rock and get all of the post-game moons. After that, I knocked out all of the Power Moons and regional coins I could in the overworld before going down into Deep Woods and knocking that out. After an hour and a half, I had 371 Power Moons, all of the souvenirs from Wooded Kingdom unlocked, and was ready to move on into Clouded Kingdom, which I knew would be a lot quicker than any of the other kingdoms so far. And Cloud Kingdom was very quick. It took me only about 15 minutes to get the 9 power moons that were there, and after that, we were able to move on into Lost Kingdom. Lost Kingdom took a little less than half an hour to complete, and by the time I was done, I had 405 power moons and was ready to move on into Metro Kingdom, which while it was one of the biggest kingdoms in the game, and arguably one of the most complicated, it was one of the kingdoms I was looking forward to the most in terms of completing, because it had one of my favorite moons of the entire game, the Jump Rope Genius. Just like Sand and Water Kingdom, I hadn't yet achieved world peace in Metro Kingdom, so before I did anything, I had to go ahead and talk to Pauline, go down to the sewers and do that. Getting all of the power moons in Metro Kingdom wasn't actually that difficult. What was difficult though was finding the last couple of regional coins that I had forgotten. After looking around for quite honestly longer than I care to admit, I finally found them in the sewers. And after a little over an hour in Metro Kingdom, I had 469 power moons, which marked the halfway point at getting all unique moons in the game. And it was time to move on to the next kingdom. After getting world peace and hitting the moon rock, I got all the power moons in Snow Kingdom and took some extra time to grind out the jump achievement, since I knew that I would probably be a little bit behind on that if I didn't grind some out now. And after a little over an hour, I had 515 moons and was ready to move on to Seaside Kingdom, which was easily the kingdom I was dreading the most in this entire playthrough, all because of one moon, the 100 Volleyball Rally Moon. Before dealing with arguably the worst moon in the entire game, I had to first achieve world peace in Seaside Kingdom, which I very quickly did. After that, it was time to get the rest of the moons in Seaside. Before going into this playthrough, I messed around a little bit on a different file, trying to figure out the best way to get the 100 Volleyball Rally Moon. I found a strategy that seemed pretty consistent. You would stand roughly in the middle of the volleyball court, and then you would jump and up throw and hold Cappy there, and then right after the snail threw the volleyball, you would shake the controller to knock it back, do a Cappy return jump and up throw, hold Cappy there, and rinse and repeat until you get all 100 rallies. There were quite a few times when I got very close, ending a rally on 96 and then on 99. After missing the moon by quite literally one rally, I decided to move on to get some of the other moons in the kingdom, and to just come back to volleyball a little bit later in the day. After getting a bunch of extra moons, I went back to the volleyball and gave it another shot, and after around 15 minutes of attempts, I finally was able to get it. After that, the rest of Seaside Kingdom went pretty well, with the exception of finding 3 purple coins, which once again took me a little longer than I would like to admit to actually find. But after a little over 2 hours in Seaside Kingdom, I had 580 moons and was finally ready to move on to Luncheon Kingdom. Just like with Seaside Kingdom, before I did anything in Luncheon Kingdom, I had to achieve world peace. So I quickly followed all the story beats, did that, and then hit the moon rock to unlock all of the post-game moons. Luncheon Kingdom took me just a little over an hour to do, and I was left with 635 moons to my name before moving on to Ruin Kingdom, which promised to once again be a very short kingdom just like Cloud Kingdom. Ruin Kingdom took a little less than 20 minutes and I was left with 644 moons, and, more importantly, only a handful of kingdoms left. Bowser Kingdom was one that I was admittedly very worried about going in. While it was a very big kingdom, I did have a plan to try to make it as less confusing as possible. See, Bowser's Kingdom, while it is big, it is divided into a bunch of small islands, so my plan was to start from the beginning, knock out everything to do in one island, and then move on to the next one and rinse and repeat until the entirety of the kingdom is done. Doing this strategy, while it may not have been the fastest, it was definitely the most consistent, and it was a lot easier for me to do. I ended up knocking out Bowser's Kingdom a lot faster than I ever anticipated, in less than an hour. With 697 moons to my name, it was time to move on to Moon Kingdom. In Moon Kingdom, I employed a very similar strategy. I knocked out everything near the Odyssey and on the south side before moving up to the northern side, and then finishing everything off in the lava cave. And now that I finally had the moon outfit, I went back into the Lake Kingdom and got that final outfit moon that I had been missing for God knows how long. And with that, my moon count was 736, and I was ready to move on into Mushroom Kingdom. In Mushroom Kingdom, I decided to knock out all of the overworld moons before dealing with all of the Toadette achievement moons. And after a little less than an hour and a half, I had 790 moons, had all of the captures, souvenirs, and music songs that I had been missing, and was ready to move on to Darkside. After getting through the boss rush, I went back to Darkside and knocked out all of the moons there before moving on to what is known as the most difficult level in Mario Odyssey, Darker Side. Kind of a fun fact, this was actually my first time ever playing through Darker Side, and it made for one of the most memorable experiences I've had playing a Mario game in a very long time. And after a little over 20 minutes, I had finished up Darker Side, and all that was left was the Toadette moons and the final cleanup. Going into Peach's Castle, I knocked out all the Toadette achievement moons, which gave us all 880 unique power moons. After that, I decided to grind out Luigi's Balloon World, since part of my criteria for 100% is to max out the entirety of that game mode, which means hitting rank 50. Using the coins that I was getting from grinding out Balloon World, I was buying the rest of the outfits that I had been missing, and after a couple of hours, I had every single outfit in the game. After probably around 8 to 10 hours of grinding Balloon World, I finally hit rank 50 on stream. It went to do the harder Bowser fight, which only unlocks after getting every single unique moon in the game, but not before buying the rest of the moons in order to get up to 999 in order to unlock the top hat on the top of Peach's Castle. After beating Bowser one final time, I grinded Balloon World just a little bit longer in order to get up to 9,999 coins, and then finished off the conquest by going to the top of Peach's Castle and activating the pole on the top of the top hat. This game was a lot of fun to 100% and honestly was one of my favorite games that I have played all year. If you got this far in the video and enjoyed what you saw, please consider liking the video and subscribing. It's free, it helps out the channel, and you could always unsubscribe whenever you like. Thank you all so much for watching the video. Super Mario Odyssey is a game that has been a part of my life for several years, and I'm happy that I finally got around to 100%ing it. I plan on 100%ing a lot more games in the near future, so if you enjoy that type of content, like I said, please consider subscribing to the channel and checking out the other videos I post. Also, just like every other game that I play, if you would like to watch the full unedited version of the gameplay videos that you see, there is a playlist down in the description, or you could check out my YouTube channel LP Max, where I upload the full unedited cuts of games that I play. If you would like to see me play through these games live, consider checking out my Twitch, where I speedrun games and 100% a lot of other games there, including the next game that will be going up on the channel sometime next month. I also have a Twitter where I post updates and announcements on games that I will be 100%ing, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a blessed day.